We have been watching the rotation with this thunderstorm strengthen over the last 30 to 45 minutes, and now it is taking a right-hand turn. The entire storm is, which is a big indication that the entire storm is rotating. So here's the area of rotation you see there, very defined couplet. You can also see some bright colors here. Cody's putting on the strength of the wind there. You can see 70 mile per hour right where those bright colors are. Even if there's not a tornado on the ground, you're going to see 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts in that area. This is going to continue to move down kind of to the south and east. Once again, that warning is in effect until 9:30, so that is going to include the Athens area. It's going to include Brownsboro. It's going to include Chandler, and it's going to almost get all the way to Frankston. So Cody's putting a track on this area of rotation right now. Keep in mind that we're tracking the center of rotation, not necessarily the thunderstorm itself. So you might actually hear the thunderstorm well before the center of rotation gets to you. But that center of rotation will be near Murchison at 9:10. It's going to be near the Pointer area at 9:39, and it's going to be diving down toward Frankston at 9:49. And as I look at the map here, this is just, Cody, this is going over the wrong area. Absolutely the wrong area. All right, so Frankston, you can see where that is right there. Of course, Lake Palestine, just to the north of that, that's where we sustained all the damage from that tornado yesterday. So everybody listening to me, from the Coffee City area to the Dogwood City area to Emerald Bay over to around Bullard, I need you to take a deep breath with me. We're going to get through this together. I'm going to track this thunderstorm until it weakens past your area. We're going to give you as much warning as possible. I know you got no warning with the thunderstorm that moved through last night, so now I'm giving you lots of warning. Keep in mind, it is not going to be near Lake Palestine for almost 45 minutes to an hour. So you have plenty of time now if you've been out covering up debris, cleaning up that debris, what I'm trying to say, and you've been out and about throughout that area. Just hunker down. Find your tornado safe spot. If you were within this tornado warning, which includes Murchison, Leagueville, Brownsboro, Chandler, all the way down to around Frankston, this warning does include parts of the city of Athens. So if you're in Athens and you're listening to me right now, I want you to take your tornado precautions. That means go to the lowest floor of your home, go to an interior room away from windows. We're talking a bathroom, a closet, a pantry, maybe a laundry room. If you have an open floor plan style house, find a hallway. Get as far away from windows as you can. Think to yourself, where is the middle of my house? Put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. And if you are within this tornado warning, I want you to go there and I want you to stay there for 30, 45 minutes while this storm moves through. Now, if you're in the Gun Barrel City area, I know it's been storming in your area for a while. Malakoff, Gun Barrel City, you are going to be outside of this warning. So you're on the backside of the rotation. You don't have to worry about it at all. Eustis, you're right there near the rotation, so I want you to give it at least 10 to 15 minutes before this moves out, before you get out of your tornado safe room. The rotation between Eustis and just north of Athens, it looks like the rotation is about to cross over Highway 19 in the next 5 to 10 minutes there. It's kind of moving just barely south of east, east-southeast. It'll be crossing over 19 north of the Athens area, and that means that the rotation is headed directly for Murchison. If you're in the Murchison area, get to that tornado safe place as quickly as possible. You can put the kids' bicycle helmets on. If you have an infant at home, strap them into their infant car seat and take the infant in the car seat to your tornado safe room. Here's another track that Cody Gottschalk has put on for me. It looks like it's going to head toward Moore Station about 9:36, the Berryville area around 9:52. So you guys, once again, Lake Palestine, where you saw that damage from the tornado just a little over 24 hours ago, I want you to know you now have 45 minutes warning before this storm will be near you. You have plenty of time now, unlike yesterday when you saw no warning. We've got this thunderstorm tracked. We know where the rotation is, and it is heading toward Lake Palestine. Cody?
I know they're trying to get eyes on where this storm is. Apparently, there's also some issues with a multi-vehicle accident in that area, because it's not just the potential tornado, it's the wind,
heavy rain as well,
torrential rainfalls. We've also been tracking, actually turn on the hail scope, because right before we went on air, we were tracking some large hail. Actually, in this warning, they're mentioning the possibility of some ping pong ball sized hail there as well. So multiple weather issues in this area, absolutely.
Okay, let's see if we can find the hail size with that. We're probably, I was thinking at least 2 inches with that. So we're talking half dollar size hail or larger within this storm. So here are the things that we look at when we're looking at rotating thunderstorms and how strong they are. Number one, the updraft has to be incredibly strong to have hail this large. The updraft are those winds that are going up in the thunderstorm. Those winds keep the hail in the air. The longer they stay in the air, the more those hail pieces bump together and they grow larger and larger. So for an updraft to be this strong to hold up 2-inch size hail before it falls out of the updraft, that tells you how strong the updraft is. Also, we've been watching these thunderstorms. This thunderstorm is the same thunderstorm that was moving into Henderson County from the west. It started to lift to the northeast. It merged with another storm. And a lot of times when two storms merge together, we see them strengthen. So that's another indication of how strong this thunderstorm is, because it has merged and taken over the energy of that other storm as well. Third thing we look for when they're right turning storms, meaning that the entire storm is rotating so much that it is turning the storm to the right, and that's exactly what has happened. These storms have been moving east almost all evening long, and now this one diving down to the south and east because of how much that entire storm is rotating. So large hail within this thunderstorm, rotating thunderstorms with the possibility of a tornado on the ground at any moment. There could be one now. We don't have a determination about whether or not there is a tornado on the ground, but even if there's not one on the ground now, there could be one at any moment. That area of rotation is going to just barely clip the northern portion of Athens. So all of Athens, I don't care if you're on the northern portion or the southern portion, you need to be taking your tornado precautions, getting to that lowest floor of your home, getting to that small interior windowless room. You're going to want to do that for the next few minutes. You can see it'll be moving into Murchison at 9:11. I'm most concerned about Murchison right now because it looks like the center of circulation is going to almost move right over Murchison and right over the Leagueville area if it holds together. Winds are going to likely be gusting 70, 80 miles per hour. So if you were with us at 6 o'clock this evening, we talked about that storm last night and how there was a brief tornado that touched down and then it turned into a large wind event after the tornado dissipated.
On top of all the other issues we're tracking, looks like we'll also see some additional flash flood warnings coming for parts of Coffin and the Van Zandt County.
Okay.
Likely just where this storm is now exiting, which, you know, good. The tornado threat's dropping for those areas, but now you're dealing with that flash flood issue. So really anywhere across parts of Highway 19, leading from northern Henderson into southern Van Zandt County, but also just this general area. You see also the yellow polygons and mixed in with all of the red polygons as well. Mm-hmm. There's several severe thunderstorm warnings, soon to be flash flood warnings. I know your phones in these areas are probably going to be going off a lot, maybe causing some issues with the EAS tones going off with the alarms of either the tornado warning or the flash flood warning. You just kind of take a deep breath and look at the situation that you're in, look at where you are located. I know there are parts of southern Van Zandt County that are in the tornado polygon. It doesn't look like the rotation is in your area. It looks like it's more focused to northern Henderson County. I don't want to exactly just give you the all clear just this second, because something else, Katie, is this rotation looks kind of broad. It looks strong, but it's broad. So telling exactly where it is, it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 more scans, but it does look like it's certainly more focused to the just north of Athens, like what you were mentioning.
And good thing to talk about in the flash flood warnings. They just issued a flash flood warning now for Van Zandt County. I know a lot of people. So the Brownsboro area had their graduation tonight. They are done with graduation following this storm down. Bullard is done with their graduation. White House has decided to reschedule their graduation for tomorrow morning. So I'm not concerned about graduation ceremonies in the path of this storm, but what about all the people that have just finished a graduation ceremony and now they are maybe heading back home? I definitely would not travel from Bullard toward the Canton area. If you need to get to I-20, try to go through Tyler if you're in the Bullard or White House area and you're heading up to I-20 maybe to get out of town or anything. Go through Tyler at this point. Do not cut through Athens. Do not try to cut up on 110 or anything like that, because that's where you're going to run into this very strong thunderstorm and the possibility of a tornado on the ground. Now, Cody was talking about how broad the rotation is, and one of the things to keep in mind is that you can see the rotation kind of fills up the entire polygon. If there's a tornado on the ground, it likely won't fill up the entire area of rotation. So we're looking at the thunderstorm as a whole. Remember, the tornado is what's touching the ground if if there is one. So it's going to be a small part of this rotation. So basically anywhere that you see in this area of rotation from Athens all the way up to the Van Zandt County line, there could be a tornado anywhere in that. The center of rotation, which is where the tornado would likely be, is crossing over Highway 19 north of Athens right now. Once again, it is heading for the Murchison area. If you are in Murchison, please be taking your tornado precautions. Be in that tornado safe spot right now. If you know someone in Murchison, I would give them a call. Make sure they know about this thunderstorm. If you know someone maybe heading toward Murchison, tell them to stop and turn around and not drive into the northern portions of Henderson County right now. This thunderstorm will continue down to the south and east. It's going to be moving very close, if it holds together, to those areas that saw the tornado damage yesterday. So I want you guys to just take a deep breath and know that you got to get in your tornado safe rooms now and be ready for it. The tornado warning right now expires at the county line, but if this storm holds together, if the rotation holds together, they will likely continue it into the southern portions of Smith County and the northern portions of Cherokee County if it holds together. And right now, Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything that says this is weakening at all right now.
No, the rotation looks like it's maintaining for sure. It looks like it's about to be heading toward, well, since it's north of Athens, it'll be crossing 19 now and then heading toward Highway 31, which, as you see here, goes from west to east, which is why we are concerned about the Murchison area and areas just off to the west of Murchison. So again, some of these times like 924 with Leagueville, I know you're not popping up on the map itself, but if you look at our timetable, well, you've got about 22 minutes to prepare, and it's just, it's very tricky because the good news is I'm looking on our other screen and we're not exactly seeing a tornadic debris signature, but at the same point, we're seeing this storm continue to rotate into itself. We're seeing a storm breathe, and then that's the problem there as well, because a lot of these storms have been pulsing up very quickly and then pulsing down very quickly, and so far we're not seeing this within this storm. Yeah,
which tells me this is probably the strongest storm that we've seen all evening long.
I would agree.
Especially because it's turning to the right, and I'm so upset over the fact that it's going to be moving right over Lake Palestine where they saw the damage yesterday. I know that's exactly what you don't want to hear. So those of you that are in the southwestern corner of Smith County, the northwestern corner of Cherokee County, we're talking Bullard all the way over to Lake Palestine. I want you to be on alert. At this time, the tornado warning does not include your area, but if it does not weaken, the next tornado warning will include your area. So this spun up very quickly. I'm very thankful that we had enough warning to get on the air and tell you that this thunderstorm was coming, unlike what happened yesterday, but that still doesn't make it any better. There's going to be a lot of lightning with this storm. There's going to be some heavy rainfall. We mentioned that there's a flash flood warning now in effect for Van Zandt County. Cody, let's go to the entire area of radar so that those of you that have storm anxiety, I always like to show you where the storm is in relation to where you are and who is under the gun and who isn't. The good news I can tell you for those of you that have storm anxiety, Sulphur Springs up to Delta County area, they've actually dropped that from the severe thunderstorm watch, which means that all of these thunderstorms are now going to start kind of pushing down to the east and southeast. And that means if you're along I-30, I think your severe weather threat is dropping very quickly through the rest of the evening. You can see this large area of thunderstorm development where several thunderstorms merged. That's where we have the tornado warning. We also have another severe thunderstorm warning on the other side of I-45. This one is probably going to be heading into Anderson County within the next hour. At this time, it is just a severe thunderstorm warning. It is not a tornado warning, but we will be watching it very carefully. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning north of I-20 there with this area of lots of lightning that's moving through. And then, of course, the tornado warning kind of on the south side of that thunderstorm. So notice they have considerable threat. Is that because of the hail, Cody?
2-inch hail possible.
Okay, so 2-inch hail possible with that severe thunderstorm that's riding right along I-20 right now, which means Lindale down to around Tyler up to, say, Hawkins, Big Sandy area. All of you are going to be included in what we call a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. They add that tag of considerable, or if it's even worse, destructive to the area for that severe thunderstorm warning to let you know that this isn't just a heavy thunderstorm. This could cause considerable damage damage because the hail is so large with this thunderstorm. And if you look at the rotation with it too, you've got the one thunderstorm kind of riding right along I-20. You've got the other one diving down to the south and east. That's where we have the rotation. And so we're going to have both of those thunderstorms, and it's very likely that these two thunderstorms could split over the next hour or so, where one continues along I-20. I know I mentioned those of you that were in Bullard, in White House for graduation ceremonies. If you were heading up to I-20, go through Tyler. I'm going to change that and tell you, if you were heading up to I-20 and thinking about heading toward the Dallas area, don't even go right now. Just stick where you are until these thunderstorms move past, because you don't want to drive through large hail along I-20, because you will definitely get stuck in that with nowhere to go. So avoid I-20 between Tyler and, say, around Terrell at this time, and you're going to want to avoid I-20 a little bit later on as this continues to parallel toward the Longview area. You guys in Longview, you've got at least maybe 45 minutes to an hour, maybe a little longer before that thunderstorm would move into your area, but it is headed your direction. So, Cody, let's focus more on the tornado warning right now. You can see so much lightning with that. That's another indication of how strong this thunderstorm is how much lightning is really picking up with the storm. Of course, you can see very intense rotation with that storm. Here's where the rotation is right now, right over Highway 19. It is turning to the right there, so it is going to continue to follow down to the south and east. It looks like the center of rotation goes over Murchison. It might go just south of the Brownsboro area. However, not far enough south that you don't need to be in your tornado safer in Brownsboro and in Chandler. You are both under this tornado warning at this time. So here's the path for the storm moving down to the south and east. How fast is it moving, Cody?
Only about 30, so it's not moving at much of a clip.
And that's what, God, we've been dealing with that all evening. Everyone that's been asking me to track these thunderstorms to where they are, it's been so hard because they're moving so slow. So it's only moving at 35 miles per hour, which unfortunately means it's not going to move in and out of your area very quickly. It's going to be heading to Murchison and Leagueville over the next 30 minutes or so. It looks like they've just updated the tornado warning too. Let's zoom out a little bit, Cody, so that I can show the people who have been dropped out of the tornado warning. Looks like just past Highway 19. So we're going to say Malakoff, you're out of that tornado warning. Tornado warning only includes Henderson County now. So if you are north of the county line in Van Zant County, we've got some very intense thunderstorms there and likely some hail and high winds, but you are north of the tornado warning. So if you are in Van Zant, Kaufman County, if you were in the far western portions of Henderson County, you are not included in this tornado warning. Right now, tornado warning is just north of Athens along Highway 19. It has now started to cross over Highway 19, headed for the Murchison area, headed for Moore Station. We've got Brownsboro and Chandler a little bit up to the north, so the center of circulation may stay just to the south of Brownsboro and Chandler, but it is still going to get very, very windy in that area. Yesterday evening storms, I hate to keep comparing to that, but that's what I have to go on right now, is what happened yesterday. We saw a brief tornado touchdown across Lake Palestine, and then as that tornado fell apart, it became a widespread straight line wind damage. And so we saw almost just as much damage in Emerald Bay over to around Bullard as what we saw where the tornado touched down. I don't want the same thing to happen. So just because you're not right in line with the area of rotation doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't going to see straight line winds of 70, 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour with this. So it looks like it's almost slowing down just a little bit as it moves down to the south and east. Do you see that?
I am. And, you know, mentioning the straight line wind issue, if you look, Katie, even in southern parts of Van Zant County where you're not seeing that rotation, if you see that sort of outward push of that more brighter green color, I believe that's Highway 110 that goes to the east of 19, just south of I-20.
Yep, that's right here.
These are just some really, they're always busy roads because they feed into Canton or into Tyler and vice versa. There's a lot of folks out there, and we're seeing the potential.
You see the center of rotation right there?
Oh, yeah. And you're seeing these winds intensify. So whether they're straight line winds, whether they're tornadic, they're certainly living strong. And that's a problem too, Katie. We've had so much rain over these past several weeks. These root systems, and a lot of times, are fairly shallow. We're going to see more trees coming down.
Exactly. So many of the pictures I saw coming out of Teaselsville and Bullard were trees that weren't just uprooted. It was like the entire ground came up with the trees because of how saturated it is. And that could happen once again. So here's what Cody's talking about kind of the outflow with it. I guarantee these bright greens that you see up to the north of rotation are at least 70 mile per hour winds, and you might even see it on the south side too. And I'm very concerned. Can you see that little pop of color right there in the middle of circulation? I'm very, very concerned about that, and that is heading right toward the Murchison area. I cannot stress enough, if you know someone in Murchison, please call them right now. Make sure that they are in the smallest room possible in the middle of their home. Put on the kids' bicycle helmets, put on their bicycle pads, put the babies in their infant car seats, strap them in, cover your head with pillows, with blankets, whatever you have, and grab a pair of shoes if you have time to grab those, because if you have to come out to damage, you don't want to do that barefoot.
Looks like the National Weather Service out of Shreveport has now also included Smith County, Northern Cherokee County within that severe thunderstorm warning, and they've also added that tornado possible tag as a continuation of this tornado warning. Just like you've been mentioning, Katie, if this storm remains possibly tornadic and continues the path it will, that is moving in, then it's certainly going to be possibly moving into southern Smith County, Northern Cherokee County, these problem areas that really need at least, not that anybody needs it, but...
Yeah, but they need it even less because they just dealt with it last night. So here's what's going on. So the National Weather Service has issued this new severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15 for Cherokee and Smith County. And you see the threat tag, tornado possible. Now, just to give you kind of a behind the scenes look, before we came on the air, they issued the severe thunderstorm warning that you see that kind of encompasses the tornado warning. They issued that and they showed us a tag of tornado possible. Cody and I immediately stood up, put our microphones on and said, let's go on air, even though it's not a tornado warning yet. And by the time we got on the air, they had changed that to a tornado warning. So if you see a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible on it, know that that could turn into a tornado warning at a moment's notice. So I would almost treat this severe thunderstorm warning as a tornado warning right now, especially because of the rotation we're seeing. Cody's put the hail scope up there. It looks like the hail core has weakened a tiny, tiny bit, but it's starting to spread out just a little bit. So at least an inch, so quarter-sized hail at least with that thunderstorm, and it looks like a pretty big area of that 1-inch hail as well.
Yeah, big area for the severe hail of an inch in diameter, so about the size of a quarter. But also, Katie, if you look, we're kind of bringing this further out. Let me see if I can expand this a bit. Look at just the large area of hail. So you see the darker shades of gray. That's more anything from pea to penny size. But again, the same problem areas.
That's all the way up to I-20.
All the way to I-20, 110, parts of 19, as well as I believe that is 31 as well. So just so many important roadways that are not only in this issue of that tornadic threat, but the hail, the wind. They're just really just not a good idea to be on the roads right now. It's just a large mess, I'm sure. And again, I'm sure a lot of folks in this general area are getting a lot of reports and alerts on their phone because of these constant warnings coming out. I know it seems like a lot. The best thing you can do is, again, just take that deep breath and look at what's affecting your area, because again, these are large polygons that are covering a large amount of these counties, but we're tracking specific things right now, which the main concern right now are the strong winds that are in southeastern Van Zandt County, and especially this potential tornadic circulation that's now just off toward the northeast of Athens near Murchison. Yeah,
so the circulation now between 19 and 31, it looks like it's about to cross over 31. Cody, do you want to look at like correlation coefficient or something like that to see if maybe we're picking up anything besides just hail and rain within that thunderstorm? At this point, it doesn't look like a lot, which is a good thing.
Right. And I know this area well. It's very wooded, so if there was a tornado on the ground, then we would be getting branches or trees or some form of something getting thrown up.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of rain with this as well, so even if there was a tornado on the ground, it could be rain wrapped. So I do not suggest that you go out and try to look for it at all. Several of these thunderstorms through the day today have a history of producing hail and high winds. This is the first one in our area that has showed rotation, and that rotation increased very, very quickly. The hail is going to be large with this. Even if you're not seeing a tornado on the ground, you're likely seeing wind gusts of at least 70 miles per hour with this thunderstorm. It's moving down to the south and east, so unfortunately it is moving toward the same area that is going to be that was under the gun last night as well. It looks like we have maybe a couple reports of some trees down, possible in the Van Zandt County. That was probably from a little while ago. Yeah, that was about from 10, 15 minutes ago. I really don't see anything on the correlation coefficient, which is
Yeah,
really
me
a good
either.
thing. I'm thinking what's happening is the rotation is widening out, and it could possibly doing the exact same thing that we saw last night, where the rotation tightened up really, really quickly, and now it's starting to spread out, which means it could likely turn into a straight line wind event. Now, with tornado events, I know that's very scary, and that seems to always be top of mind about what's the worst in East Texas as far as weather. But let me tell you, if this turns into a straight line wind event, it will likely cover much more area than an actual tornado would if it touched down, which means it could cause a lot more damage than a tornado because it is covering such a wide area, which means straight line winds could possibly hit Brownsboro and Edom within the next 15-20 minutes. The center of circulation right now near the Murchison area, and it'll be traveling down to the south and east. So the center of circulation right over 31 near Murchison, it's going to be moving to the south and east, and it's going to be heading toward Moore Station within the next, say, 30 minutes or so. And then it'll continue over Lake Palestine into the southern portions of Smith County, the northern portions of Cherokee County there. Once again, it's going to be near the noonday area, right around 10 o'clock, around the Bullard area, just after 10 o'clock, between 10 and 10:15. My friends in Bullard, I want you to pay close attention to this thunderstorm. You are not under a tornado warning yet, but if this rotation continues, they will likely upgrade the severe thunderstorm warning for Smith and Cherokee County to a tornado warning. So just be aware of that. If you were in noonday, that means I'm talking to my mom who has my daughters at home. Please make sure that you find that interior room in your house and stay there as long as this warning is active. For those of you in Bullard, for those of you in Emerald Bay, I know that this is the absolute worst thing I can say to you right now is that another tornado could be headed your way. But it is possible that you could see some more damage tonight if this storm holds together. I'm hoping that it is starting to weaken, but you can still see the rotation very, very clearly as it continues down to the south and east. It's not quite as bright greens and bright reds, so it may be weakening a little bit. I'm crossing my fingers for that. I'm hopeful thinking, but right now the tornado warning lasts until 9:30, so we are going to stick with it until at least 9:30. And even if the tornado warning expires, if this storm looks this strong, I'm going to stick with it as it moves into the southern portions of Smith and the northern portions of Cherokee County. So just stick with us, because this is going to continue to cause problems all through the eastern side of Henderson County. Right now, I would say you've got about another 10 minutes in Athens before you can come out of your tornado safe rooms. Let's just call it on the safe side and stay there for another 10 minutes or so until this moves completely past you, because there still could be some very strong winds in the Athens area, even if the circulation is starting to move away. Once again, Murchison, you are right smack in the area of circulation right now. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. If you know anyone that might be driving toward Athens, toward Brownsboro, toward Chandler, please call them, because I know when you're in the car, you don't always get to the warnings that you need. Hopefully you're not using your phone while you're in the car, so you may not realize that you're driving into a very strong thunderstorm. So if you know anyone traveling in this area, please call them. Please tell them to stop, stay where they are, and just wait this out until it moves away, and then they can come into Athens or Brownsboro or Chandler or wherever they may be going. So right now, tornado warning until 9:30. If you're just now joining us, this is for the eastern half of Henderson County. Once again, until 9:30. This does not include Van Zant County anymore. At this time, it does not include Smith County or Cherokee County, but you can see behind me that that yellow that does include Smith County and Cherokee County is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that has a threat tag of possible tornado. They've issued this severe thunderstorm warning ahead of the tornado warning to warn everyone that a strong thunderstorm is moving your way. If the rotation holds together, they will upgrade it to a tornado warning. So here's the track that Cody just put on the center of circulation. Leagueville within the next 10 minutes, Moore Station around 9:40-ish, Coffee City around 9:53, noonday around 9:59, Bullard around 10:11. So that means those of you that have been cleaning up the debris from yesterday's thunderstorms, you are under the gun again for this thunderstorm moving down to the south and east. Anything from the Weather Service, Cody?
Not yet, but just one thing I noticed when you look at the last few scans, you see the rotation almost kind of dip a little bit further to the south, a little bit more broad, kind of, as you noticed, hopefully not as strong, and hopefully this will be the beginning of a weakening trend within the rotation, but it almost looks like it kind of has now pushed further south of 31. So for the Murchison area, which is right along 31, maybe just now the worst of that rotation just to your south. And again, especially with comparable, let me turn off everything. I know there's a lot on the screen right now. Not as prominent as it was just about 20 minutes ago, which is a great sign. Let's hope that this rotation continues to get kind of messy. But as typical, when these storms start to cycle down a little bit, a lot of times you got to think about what comes up must come down, and you'll see these updrafts and these dying thunderstorms can bring some strong thunderstorm winds down with it as well. And again, this is going to be between areas south of Highway 31, north of 175 for central and eastern parts of Henderson County. We could start to see some wind issues along with some torrential rains and likely some more hail. Actually, that's something we haven't checked in a second. Let's see how that hail is shaping up in these areas. And you're seeing, maybe coming down a little bit more as well, where at times we're talking about the potential of ping pong ball sized hail, maybe almost golf balls in some instances. But now when you start seeing the light blues and the whites and the grays, not as large, but still something that we want to be mindful of, just under an inch in diameter. So now we're start talking about maybe nickel size to penny size. When you start seeing the darker gray color, that's that pea size. That's kind of riding right along 31, but still hail nonetheless. That's a lot of hail, meaning some very heavy rain probably coming down with it. We've got our downtown Tyler Tower camera looking to the south, not even looking toward this thunderstorm, and it is just almost constant lightning. So I can only imagine how much lightning is in the all of this as well. Yeah, so let me turn this off here real quick, and we'll try to bring up some of our tower cameras, because it is a lot of lightning, and thankfully there's not too much going on in the southern parts of East Texas. But I tell you, we've been tracking a lot of thunderstorm activity across our western and our northwestern zones throughout the bulk of the day, and obviously that lightning and those storms do continue over the there you go. It's just flashing all over the place.
I don't know if you saw yesterday, but I believe lightning hit a house in Brownsboro yesterday. I think someone reported that, and it caught the house on fire.
So
we don't talk about lightning quite as much when it comes to these threats, because we're more concerned about a tornado, but lightning could cause a lot of problems as well. There's a lot of lightning with these thunderstorms as well. Okay, so let's go back to the radar, Cody, and just kind of look all around East Texas. For those of you with storm anxiety, I think this is the last of the line of thunderstorms. Now, it's going to take a while because these thunderstorms are moving so slow. It's like 25, 30 miles per hour, but you can see the entire line now starting to shift east and southeast, which means the Dallas area is done with this. They've dropped the severe thunderstorm watch for the Dallas area. They've dropped the severe thunderstorm watch for parts of I-30 from Greenville up to around Sulphur Springs. So we're coming to the end of this. It's going to go out with a bang, I guess. Tornado warning in effect until 9:30 for the eastern side of Henderson County. That tornado warning, it stops at the Smith-Cherokee County line right now, but it is possible that if this storm holds together, they will issue another downstream warning. Have they said anything about it yet, Cody?
Not yet.
Okay,
Still checking
so
that.
they're still monitoring the thunderstorm. Downstream from the tornado warning, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. That's what you see Cody put up here until 10:15.
This is the one that's actually just outside of our viewing area, but I did want to point out that we're just watching it.
They just added tornado possible to that one.
Because it's, eventually within the next 35, 45 minutes, that might start to get a little close. Hopefully it does start to die out some, but that one is also spinning, and eventually will be a little too close to our viewing area.
Okay, so this thunderstorm warning that you see here that Cody put up, this is the thunderstorm that you see right around I-45. But notice they added that threat of tornado possible. So this one has started to rotate as well. The severe thunderstorm warning that we have for Smith County and the northern portions of Cherokee County there, that one also has a tag of tornado possible because of the rotation in Henderson County that is moving that direction. So Cody took off the lightning, and I think that's a great idea because it's very, very hard to see sometimes what the most intense part of the thunderstorm is with the lightning on top of it. But boy, yeah, you can see a little bit of hook trying to form there on the west side of I-45. So we're going to have to watch that one. Let's see, it's moving southeast. So you guys in Houston County, you're going to need to watch for this thunderstorm. Maybe the southern southern portions of Anderson County. Keep an eye on that. It's at least an hour away, but you still want to watch it as it crosses over I-45. Then we get into this cluster of thunderstorms where I swear this was like 3 or 4 thunderstorms that just kind of merged together in one big MCS of thunderstorms. The rotation now passing Athens, and you can see all of the lightning with it as well, and the heavy, heavy rainfall. And even though the hail core has weakened, which is a good thing because that's a sign that the thunderstorm itself is weakening, it's still got hail within it, at least pea-sized hail, if not up to nickels and quarters, or as Cody likes to say, pocket change hail. That's going to be possible for basically the entire eastern side of Henderson County. So a little bit of hail could be falling around the Athens area. The last time Cody did this, I think it was like a 0.9 inches. Now it's down to about 0.8. So it continues to cycle down. Great news to see that, but the tornado warning is going to stay in effect for at least another 5 minutes. Cody, why don't you leave the radar up for a second, ask in the National Weather Service chat. I would talk to Shreveport and ask them if they plan on continuing that tornado warning, because we're about 5 minutes from it expiring, and I want to know if they're going to continue it downstream. I guess Fort Worth might continue it for parts of Henderson County. So here's what's going on. Let me explain why I'm talking to Cody about different Weather Service offices. Our counties in East Texas are split up between multiple Weather Service offices. So when you get into Smith and Cherokee County, those are the first line of counties that actually belong to the Shreveport Weather Service office. Did they say something?
Fort Worth jumped in and said they're going to allow the tornado warning to expire in the next 5 minutes as rotation has broadened and weakened some. Okay,
I'm going to stick with it even after this thunderstorm. They say they're going to let the tornado warning expire. I'm going to stay on air. I'm a little gun shy, just like all of you are that saw that tornado that popped up so quickly last night. So I'm going to stay on air even past 9:30 for at least a little bit so I can see what this storm is going to do as it moves into southern Smith County and northern Cherokee County. I don't want to leave you guys at Lake Palestine and Emerald Bay and Bullard high and dry like I feel like you were left yesterday. So I'm going to stick with it even after the tornado warning expires. As I was mentioning, Smith County, Cherokee County is the first row of counties that belongs to the Shreveport Weather Service office. So any watches and warnings that are issued in those counties are by the Shreveport office. However, Henderson County, Van Zant County, even Anderson County belong to the Fort Worth Weather Service office. So whenever you have a storm that's right along the county line here that's going to go from one Weather Service office to another, they try to coordinate as best they can with what these thunderstorms are doing. So when it's in Henderson County and we need information on the storm or what anybody's seeing with the storm, we have to contact the Fort Worth Weather Service office. Once it moves across the river, across the lake there, it's going to be moving into Shreveport's office, and then we will be contacting them for more information on downstream warnings. So it is 9:27 right now. The tornado warning will continue for another 3 minutes. After that, I'm going to stick around for at least another 5 minutes to see where this thunderstorm goes and how fast it's weakening as it moves into southern Smith and northern Cherokee County. I wouldn't normally do that, but that is the area that got hit yesterday with a weak tornado and straight line winds. I don't want that to happen to you again without any warning. So once again, tornado warning will expire at 9:30 for Henderson County, which means those of you in Henderson County, Athens, I think you're in the clear now. Murchison, you should be in the clear within the next 5 to 10 minutes. The rotation is definitely broadening out. Notice how it kind of looks long and linear now instead of circular. That means that the thunderstorm is weakening. However, right there where that red and green meet, I bet there's winds of, well, at least 48 miles per hour, if not up to 60 and 65 miles per hour. So it is weakening. That's definitely a good thing, but we are still going to see some very, very strong winds with this, and at least pea-sized hail as it moves through Brownsboro, as it moves through Chandler, as it moves down toward Moore City, as it continues on toward Lake Palestine. So this thunderstorm, even though it is weakening, it is still moving toward you guys in Lake Palestine, you guys in the Emerald Bay area. Cody's tracking kind of the most intense area of the thunderstorm right over the Baxter community right now. Moore Station around 9:49. Frankston right around 10 o'clock. The Cooney area around 10, say 10 or 10:15. And then Bullard, Mount Selman just before 10:30 is when this storm will be moving into your area. Hopefully continuing to weaken along its track down to the south and east with less and less hail and less wind. All right, so they're maintaining the current severe thunderstorm warning for now. Fort Worth is going to allow the tornado warning to expire for Henderson County, which means Shreveport is going to maintain their severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect till 10:15, right?
Yes.
Okay, 10:15, the severe thunderstorm warning will continue for Smith and northern Cherokee County, and as long as it has that threat tag of tornado possible, I'm going to stay on the air. I just want to be as safe as possible for everyone in the path of this storm, and I don't want what happened yesterday to ever happen again. So we're going to stick with this. The tornado warning will expire. You'll see that red box with the tornado warning. It will disappear from our screen. There it goes right there. So now we just have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, high winds and small hail. However, because this storm has a history of rotation, as it moves across Lake Palestine into southern Smith County and northern Cherokee County, they have added the threat tag of tornado possible. And that's going to continue as long as this thunderstorm is showing any signs whatsoever of rotating. I do think that at this time, the threat of a tornado on the ground is probably very low, but I don't know that there isn't a threat for some straight line wind damage with this as well, even as it weakens. We also know about microbursts. You guys in Longview know this really well. You guys in Emerald Bay now know this very well. When that thunderstorm starts to weaken, if the air in the thunderstorm falls quickly to the ground, it spreads out in all directions, and it becomes a huge straight line wind event and can cause just as much damage as a tornado. So if you are in southern Smith County, northern Cherokee County, if you are in eastern Henderson County, so east of Athens, I want you to be watching this very, very carefully. I'm not going to tell you to take your tornado precautions, but just know where you're going to go. So when it starts getting bad in your area, know exactly where you need to run. If you have kids at home, gosh, it's 9:30 at night, but it's the last day of school, so I don't know if the kids are awake. Mine are probably awake, maybe. If the kids are awake, make sure that they're at least in the area of that tornado safe room so that you don't have to gather them up really quickly. If they're asleep, I wouldn't necessarily wake them up, but I would just be watching it very, very carefully as it moves through. Here's the latest track that Cody put on there. LaRue 9:39, so just in the next 5 minutes or so. Brownsboro 9:43, Chandler around 10 o'clock, noonday around 10:08, Mount Selman around 10:27. So this thunderstorm continues to move down to the south and east at about, what, 25 miles per hour still?
25 to 30 for sure.
Okay.
And you know, when we talk about whether it being strong damaging winds or that isolated tornado threat that we always talk about, you know, we always mention, you know, get in that windowless interior room or put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Because yes, of course, we're always worried about debris and whatnot, but you got to think about the winds, you got to think about the trees. And really, that's what we have the most of here in East Texas is the tall pine trees and whatnot, and the tall, thick oak trees. But again, with how much water we've got, we even still have that flash flood warning in effect for southern parts of Kaufman and the Van Zandt County, and that is in effect until, oh goodness, we have so many warnings out in effect right now. Let me see what this goes in so I can give you all an idea. Till 11 p.m., you know, you get those soft, saturated soils. So whether it's a 60 mile per hour wind gust, sometimes not even that, you get the trees to come down. So the more walls between you and outside is more protection from you and those trees, because those are really what causes a lot of the issues, even with some of the tornadoes we get here in East Texas, is because they're pulling those trees down, and especially because a lot of us have those older homes too, and that's just a little bit more susceptible to damage from these tall trees because they are very, very, very heavy.
All right, so let's go back out to all of East Texas. Let's put the reflectivity back on there, show you where all the warnings are. We have the severe thunderstorm warning for the eastern portion of Henderson County. We have the severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible for the, let's see, the Henderson County storm, also Cherokee and Smith County. You can see that tornado possible tag. Van Zandt County, I'm going to say that the tornado possible is going to be south of you with your severe thunderstorm warning. That's likely just going to be winds and hail for Van Zandt County now. And then we have the flash flood warning for Kaufman and Van Zandt County. So take those warning boxes off. I just want to show everybody that's across East Texas who's in the clear and who's not. If you're along I-30, you're in the clear now. You might still be hearing some rumbles of thunder. I can't rule out maybe a little bit of a shower here and there, but the thunderstorm activity is south of I-30. It looks now like it will stay south of I-30 for the rest of the evening. I think this entire area of thunderstorms, we've got one large area along I-45, one large area just on the along and south of I-20. Both of these areas are going to kind of come down to the east-southeast, so they're going to kind of ride along a thick I-20 corridor that's going to include, say, Gilmer down to around Longview to Marshall. And then it's going to include areas like Jacksonville, Henderson, down to around Center later tonight. But I think the further and further these get to the east and southeast, I think they're going to weaken. So now Cody's taken the lightning off so you can really see the warnings there. Severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Henderson County, severe thunderstorm warning for Smith County, as well as a very northern portion of Cherokee County. That does not include you guys in Jacksonville, by the way. If you're in Jacksonville, thunderstorm is probably heading your way. You're going to hear rumbles of thunder. It's going to get a little bit heavier with the rain, but the severe part of the thunderstorm looks like it's going to stay just on the north side of Jacksonville. So Mount Selman up to around Bullard area along 69 there. We have the flash flood warning that's in effect for Kaufman and Van Zant County. It'll be for Kaufman County for a little while longer, and they'll probably expire Kaufman County first, and then they'll hold on to Van Zant County where it's still heavily raining. And then we have that severe thunderstorm warning right along I-45, and I just point that one out because that also has the tag of tornado possible, and it is heading toward the southern portions of Anderson County and Houston County. So you guys from Palestine down to around Crockett, you need to be watching that thunderstorm along I-45. I'm hopeful it'll weaken before it gets here, but we're going to watch it carefully just in case. So severe thunderstorm warnings continue, and because there is a tag for tornado possible, we're going to stick with it. However, I do think the rotation is weakening quite a bit. In fact, you can even see the rain moving out of the western side of Henderson County. So if you are west of Athens, a friend of mine in Gun Barrel City near the lake there, you're fine. It looks like all of that is going to be moving past you. If you are Kaufman County down to around Gun Barrel City, you are in the clear for the rest of the night. You don't have to worry about anything. If you're as far south as Lufkin and all the way down to Livingston, you're probably not going to see much more than rain with these and maybe a rumble or two of thunder by the time they get that far south. I think they will be weakening. Right now, Longview hasn't seen anything, but these severe thunderstorms riding right along I-20 may bring you some pea-sized hail and some gusty winds within the next hour or so as they continue off to the east. Any thoughts about them dropping the tornado tag or anything like that?
No information just yet.
Okay, so we're going to stick with it just because we know there was rotation with this thunderstorm. It's moving a little bit faster, I think. It was moving at about 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to say about 30 to maybe getting up to 35 miles per hour now because it does look like it's starting to move out of the western portions of Henderson County pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So good news there. Let's zoom into that severe thunderstorm warning in Henderson County because it's starting to creep up with that heavy rainfall right to Lake Palestine. Athens, the rain will be ending for you very quickly. Canton, the rain will be ending for you very quickly as well. Rain starting to really pick up around Lake Palestine, Frankston area, excuse me, around Coffee City as well. And those areas that receive damage, there's going to be some extremely heavy rainfall coming through. Let's check the velocity one last time,
Sure.
see if that velocity has fallen off any at all. I don't know. It's still there.
It's tricky, too, because the further east we go, the farther away we're getting away from the radar site. So we're kind of seeing more interactions a little bit higher up in the storm. We obviously know these still have some very strong updrafts and downdrafts. So the big question is, what kind of these winds are making their way down to the ground? But, I mean, when you see it, this strong, this far out, it's still certainly indicative of some strong wind gusts. Now, whether we're seeing that rotation, whether we're seeing just standard, and I'm using air quotes, the strong thunderstorm winds, we'll have to see how that shapes up. But it's really, really tricky because we're kind of getting into this kind of idea of that bad radar data where you can even see that sort of band where you're not getting any information at all. And that's going to make things kind of difficult to check over the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, so what Cody was talking about the radar, part of the reason that they split the counties into different weather service offices is because it's how far out their radar at that office can reach. So the Fort Worth radar reaches basically to Henderson County and then can't reach any further. The Shreveport radar reaches to about Smith County and can't reach much further. So we're kind of in this no man's zone right here where two radars are trying to pick this up, and all of them are looking so far up in the thunderstorm that it's really hard to say. Although I will say this last scan, it's looking a lot more messy, which is a good thing.
Right.
You never want it to look circular. You never want it to look organized. When it looks messy like this, it means gusty winds and possibly some small hail, but likely not a tornado when it looks this messy. So Cody has switched from the Fort Worth radar to now the Shreveport radar, and you can still see the red and greens there together, but it's very messy. It's very elongated. So it definitely looks like this storm is weakening just a little bit more. I still want to stay on air for a few more minutes just to kind of give some relief to those of you that had the damage yesterday across Lake Palestine. I just really want to be with you as this thunderstorm moves across Lake Palestine so that you know I'm watching it and you know that if anything changes that I'm going to be the first to tell you. So it is starting to make its way into that area. Right now it's got, lightning strikes in the last 30 minutes, 2,300 lightning strikes, and that's just basically southern Van Zant and Henderson County for the most part. So it's going to be very loud when it moves through. So those of you that have storm anxiety, this is going to be a tough one for you to ride out because it's going to be very loud, not only with the lightning strikes, but also with the very heavy rainfall. I haven't mentioned the pets this evening yet. Gosh, if you're in Troop down to around Laneville, Jacksonville, down to around Cushing, where this storm is moving through and your pets need to be medicated because of the thunderstorm, get that done ASAP because this thunderstorm is heading your way. Same thing for you guys with pets in the Longview area. If they need to be medicated, you need to do that now because this thunderstorm is going to come through and it is going to be very, very loud. And so those pets that don't handle that very well, medicate them, put their thunder shirt on, whatever you need to do to get them through this storm. So it looks like they might have kind of trimmed the severe thunderstorm warning. Did they do that or am I crazy?
They might have done it just a little bit earlier.
So they've just trimmed off the backside of it. Athens is still under the severe thunderstorm warning. However, any circulation has passed by Athens. I'm not worried about any tornado possible in Athens right now. In fact, your rain is probably going to be letting up in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and things are going to start to improve greatly in the Athens area. Same thing for Canton. Conditions are going to be improving. Someone texted me not long ago, said she had family traveling along I-20 between Tyler and the Dallas area. I'm not sure where on I-20, but if you are between Canton and Dallas, you're fine. If you're between Canton and Tyler on I-20, you're likely seeing extremely heavy rains and high winds along I-20. If you're past the Tyler area, between Tyler and Longview on I-20, it's light rain, but it's going to get worse. So if you're around Tyler, I-20, and you're headed toward Longview, keep going because you're going to stay ahead of this. It's moving slow enough, you'll be able to stay ahead of it. Drive slower than you normally do, but this is only moving at about 25, 30 miles per hour, so you can stay ahead of it. However, if you're in Longview and you're trying to go the opposite direction toward Dallas, don't go yet. Stay off of I-20, stay put until this thunderstorm moves through. So conditions are improving greatly in Wills Point. They're starting to improve in Canton. They're starting to improve in Athens. It's going to be basically the eastern half of Henderson County still under that severe thunderstorm warning. I would almost venture to say that they could probably take the severe thunderstorm warning out of Van Zant County. I
would agree with that.
That southern portion of that storm in Van Zant County does not look severe to me. However, it still looks pretty severe from Athens to around Tyler. So you guys in Tyler, I'm seeing the lightning pick up on our tower cam outside on the square. I think that's going to continue to pick up. Oh, great. We're looking at tower cam now. So this is the square in downtown Tyler. We're seeing the lightning really pick up, but right there on the right-hand side of your screen is the square, and you can barely see it because it's dark, but that's the flagpole there, and you can see the flags aren't moving very much. So the winds have not picked up in Tyler yet, but I think they will probably in the next 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to start to see a little bit more wind in the area, and then, of course, a little bit heavier rainfall moving through as well. So if you like the lightning, it's a beautiful show out there right now. If it makes you nervous, then just close all the blinds in the house and stay put until this thunderstorm moves through. If you're from Mineola to Tyler down to almost Jacksonville, this is where that heavy thunderstorm is going to move. The severe portion of the thunderstorm, it looks like they just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's look at that severe thunderstorm warning and see what they've said for it. Does it have a tornado possible tag? I hope not. It does not. So severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30 for Anderson, Henderson, Van Zant County. I believe that the severe thunderstorm warning for Smith and Cherokee County still has the tag of tornado possible. Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, then we're going to stick with it. Cody, let's zoom in to Lake Palestine.
Sure.
Just to give some people some extra information. Man, once you've been hit once, you don't want to think you could get hit again. So you can see right there along the county line, that's where Lake Palestine is. You can see the Coffee City area kind of pop up near Berryville there. That's where we saw that tornado that touched down. Let me step in front of. So here's Eagles Bluff, right on Lake Palestine. Coffee City is just across Lake Palestine there. Dogwood City just across Lake Palestine as well. That is the little area where we saw the tornado touch down. And then, of course, once the tornado lifted or diminished, we saw the widespread wind damage that kind of came out all the way up to around Emerald Bay, Teaselsville, Bullard area. And so that's the area that saw the damage yesterday. If you weren't a part of that damage, this is where it was. And now we've got this severe thunderstorm moving through. I can tell you that it has weakened greatly. I do not think there is a tornado with this storm. I think the rotation continues to weaken. I am not worried at this point about another tornado touching down in your area, but it is going to be loud and it is going to be fairly breezy out there as well. Anything extra from them? I keep hoping they'll drop that tornado tag on the severe thunderstorm warning for southern Smith and northern Cherokee County. It looks like Mark Skirto just sent us a message saying that the sirens were going off in Tyler. I don't know that that's necessary. The conditions are going to get worse before they get better in Tyler, but right now, let's look at the velocity and make sure that there's no rotation moving toward the Tyler area. It is very, very messy at best.
Yeah.
Very messy. Very elongated. I'm not seeing anything that would indicate a tornado on the ground, but straight line winds I can't rule out.
Especially when you compare it to the earlier runs when they first pulled the trigger for the tornado warning. I assume that's simply just because the storm got a little closer.
Yeah.
It has a tornado possible tag, and
so
they were erring on
our
the side of
newsroom
caution.
says they can hear the sirens going off as well. Thanks, Mark, for that report that the sirens are going off. Hopefully you're staying safe in your area of Tyler. Let's go to the hail court. Okay, you're already doing that. It looks like it's picked back up some.
Starting to pulse up.
Okay, so we've seen this in the last several hours with these thunderstorms that they have weakened and then they've started to strengthen again. So it's still not near as bad as it was when they issued the tornado warning a little while ago, but we're talking about an inch-sized hail. So quarter-sized hail, maybe a little bit larger in some areas, and that's right along 175 between Frankston and Athens, likely seeing some pretty big hail right there along 175. Moore Station, likely seeing some pocket change hail in that area. That hail is going to be heading over Lake Palestine in the next, say, 20, 30 minutes or so, and it'll be moving into the northern portions of Cherokee County, the southern portions of Smith County. Right now, I'm thinking that the hail will stay south of the Loop 323 in Tyler, but it could possibly kind of graze Loop 49. So you guys at noonday, be watching for this hail as it crosses over the lake there.
Yeah, 155 too. Anybody north of Frankston too, that could certainly cause some
Okay,
issues
so
there as
anywhere,
well.
if you live on or around Lake Palestine, I want you to be very aware that you're going to see pennies, nickels, dimes, maybe quarter-sized hail with this. Cody likes to call it pocket change hail, and that's a great way to describe it because it is going to be all different sizes, but up to the size of quarters at least. As this moves through, I still think the rotation looks very, very weak. Mark says that the sirens have stopped, so good news there. I do not see a tornado on the way to Tyler. So if you are just now joining us, you heard the sirens go off in Tyler and you ran to the TV and turned on the TV. We are not on air for a tornado warning right now. Right now, we did have a tornado warning earlier. It was allowed to expire because this storm that you see right here with these 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, it did have a tornado warning with it. It had a very pronounced area of rotation as it moved north of Athens. Now it's starting to fall apart. It's starting to weaken. However, they've issued these severe thunderstorm warnings, and they've given us a tag that says that a tornado is possible. So because of that, and because of what happened yesterday with that tornado pulsing up so quickly on Lake Palestine, I'm going to stick with you. As long as they say a tornado is possible with these severe thunderstorm warnings, I'm going to stay on the air so that we know if anything changes, I can tell you right away, and we don't have to take any time to get back on the air and tell you. So this area of rotation, very, very broad, very, very messy. Nothing looks to be organized. That's definitely a good thing. However, there's enough rotation left in that thunderstorm that we can't rule out an isolated tornado popping up out of it. So that's why they've said that threat tag where they say tornado possible for Cherokee and Smith County. The warning is going to be in effect until 10:15 for Cherokee and Smith County, and then that new warning that they issued for Anderson, Henderson, Van Zandt County. You notice it doesn't have that threat tag of tornado possible. That's going to be in effect until 10:30 tonight. It's 9:49. We're going to start our 10 o'clock newscast. If you're listening to me in the newsroom, because we don't have a tornado warning at this time, I would say even if I stay on the air, we will start our 10 o'clock newscast on time. I'm going to go ahead and stay with it for at least another 5 minutes. I may stick with it right up until 10 o'clock, but at 10 o'clock we will start our 10 o'clock broadcast so that we can get the latest on damage cleanup efforts and that kind of thing going on. Speaking of damage cleanup efforts, they're of course halted tonight now. Even if they were trying to still clean up in the dark, it's going to be halted for at least the next moment or so because of this severe thunderstorm moving through. It does look like conditions have completely improved in Athens. Athens to Gun Barrel City, you're in the clear for the rest of the night tonight. Canton to Terrell, you're in the clear for the rest of the night tonight. For the most part, if you are north of I-20, now part of the severe thunderstorm warning for Smith County does include a little bit north of I-20, but that part of the thunderstorm doesn't look near as severe as the southern portion of the storm. So if you're along and north of I-20, I'm going to say you'll be in the clear very quickly over the next hour or so as these thunderstorms continue off to the east, southeast. In fact, Cody, have you noticed that it's moving more easterly now instead of southeasterly, which could mean that the rotation isn't taking over the entire thunderstorm anymore, so we're not seeing that right-hand southeasterly turn of the thunderstorm. That's good news as well. Bad news in Tyler because it means the storm's coming right over us, but it does mean that the rotation isn't taking up the entire thunderstorm anymore, so it's just another indication that this thunderstorm is weakening. Yeah, something else we can do, take an idea of the lightning count, because again, that's such a big idea of how these are doing. About 5-10 minutes ago, we had about 2,300 lightning strikes. Well, now we've got around 2,800, but we're also seeing these clusters interacting with each other, and that is, one hand, a good thing, because if a storm wants to have a strong tornado, it needs to be kind of by itself. And if you have this constant interaction with these clusters, they kind of have to share the energy. Now, there's lots of energy. I mean, we had several folks climbing into the upper 80s, low 90s, heat index values near 100. So you got the heat, you got the humidity, you got the energy for these thunderstorms, and that's why they are so electrified. But they're also having to share that energy, and that's really good because that is why we continue to see the lack of that tight rotational couplet. But that also means we could still see some strong winds and just a big mess in areas that do not need it. Yeah, think about one of the metaphors that I like to talk about is an ice skater. When they pull their arms in as they're spinning, you notice they spin faster. So they make their body mass smaller to spin faster, and then as they put their arms out, they slow down. That's a lot of what Cody was talking about with this thunderstorm. When the energy is spread out, it's not quite as concentrated. That's usually when we see the storm stop rotating because it is sharing its energy with a much broader area. And I think that's exactly what's going on now. So let's see. They're just reminding everyone that there is no tornado warning in effect for Smith County, just a severe thunderstorm warning. Cody, will you ask them if they plan to keep the tornado possible tag on that or if they would likely be dropping it soon? I don't want to go back to programming until I know they've dropped that tornado possible tag, but I don't necessarily know that it needs to be there right now. This is going to be a very loud storm as it continues to push through Tyler, and it looks like now the southern extent of the storm will get to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, you are not under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time, but the southern edge of that thunderstorm does look like it's going to be moving through the Jacksonville area, so be ready for some lightning. I'm sure you're already seeing the lightning out there. The rain is going to get bit heavier. You might see maybe some pea-sized hail in Jacksonville. I don't think it would be much larger than that if it got that far south, but it's definitely going to be loud coming through. So I know those of you with storm anxiety, just breathe through it. It's going to come in and come out. I want you to look at Athens right now and how quickly that storm has moved out of the Athens area now. It's going to do the same thing for Tyler and Jacksonville as well. Just give it some time. We do have areas of hail. We've got one pocket just off to the south of Brownsboro. We've got another pocket right along 175 out of Frankston, looking at about an inch, so about quarter-sized hail with those thunderstorms. And that doesn't mean all the hail is going to be quarter-sized. It just means it's up to quarter-sized hail possible falling from that thunderstorm. So a lot of lightning. We've got a little bit of hail. We've likely see wind gusts of 60 miles per hour. I'm glancing at the tower cam. I still don't see the flag moving on the square yet. So downtown Tyler hasn't gotten any wind just yet. But the worst of the storm is still just barely on the west side of Tyler at this point, kind of moving over the county line there. But just look how quickly it cleared out in Athens. A little bit more rain in Canton, but clearing out there pretty quickly. I know we've got some viewers up in Mineola. Let's zoom things out just a little bit so I can show north of I-20 there. So Mineola, you'll still see a little bit of thunderstorm activity over the next, say, 30 minutes or so, and then it should be clearing out of your area in Mineola. I would say if you're north of Mineola, you're in the clear for the night. Gilmer, it looks like you might see a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity moving in the next 45 minutes to an hour. And did they update the severe thunderstorm? Updated, let's see. Severe thunderstorm
midnight.
watch.
There we go.
Okay, so they've updated the severe thunderstorm watch to now go till midnight. Great idea because it's about to expire in about 5 minutes. And they've added a few counties to it as well. So now Lufkin, Angelina County, Nacogdoches County, San Augustine, Sabine County, as well as Shelby County, all added to that severe thunderstorm watch. All right, National Weather Service says they want to keep the tornado possible threat tag for the time being just because the thunderstorm is still very strong out there. I have not heard any reports of damage except for we saw some trees down in Van Zant County, but we haven't seen anything else pop up just yet. That's definitely some good news. It looks like the severe thunderstorm we've been watching, will you click on that severe thunderstorm warning along I-45? Sure. Does it still say tornado possible? Nope. It does not. Okay, so they've weakened that severe thunderstorm warning along I-45. Remember, I told you guys in southern Anderson and Houston counties to be watching that thunderstorm. It's weakening quite quickly. So I think the tornado threat with that thunderstorm is probably over. And now it's more kind of you can see a flash flood warning with that storm and a severe thunderstorm warning with that storm. So hail, high winds, heavy rainfall still possible with that storm, but the tornado threat tag has been dropped for it. So that's some good news for you guys in the southern portion of East Texas. You can also see that heavy thunderstorm, gosh, it's still in parts of Henderson County. I feel like it's been in Henderson County forever now. I know it's moving over Lake Palestine right now. Very heavy rainfall. Let's take a look at the hail again, see if that hail core has changed at all. We're zooming into that storm. Once again, severe thunderstorm warning for the eastern portion of Henderson County. You can see those two little spots of hail. So when you look at the hail core, the gray and the white is going to be like pea-sized hail at best. And then when you start getting the light and dark blue, that gets up to about an inch. And when you start seeing pinks and purples, that's really bad. So right now, we're thinking maybe up to the size of quarters, but that is going to be moving near the Coffee City area. That's also going to be moving near Emerald Bay as it crosses over the lake right here. Right now, the hail is on the west side of Lake Palestine. It will be crossing over Lake Palestine probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes, and that means it will also be diving into Teaselsville and the Bullard area. It is not large enough to cause big damage, but quarter-sized hail can still cause some dents in. So if you're on the east side of Lake Palestine and you have a chance to pull your car into the garage or under the carport, something like that, very quickly, you might want to do that because this could still cause some damage to your cars there, but this likely isn't going to cause a lot of damage to other things because it is small enough. But this is in the same places that have all the damage from last night, so this is it's just going to make matters worse just because we don't need any more severe weather anywhere there, but definitely not where they already saw a tornado 24 hours ago. So 2 pockets of hail with this thunderstorm. That's the reason it's severe right now. The rotation continues to weaken as it moves into southern Smith County and northern Cherokee County. We're about 9:58 right now, so I'm going to stick with this for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to pass it over to Gianni to start the 10 o'clock newscast, which I will also have an update at the top of the 10 o'clock newscast for you as well. So here's the rotation looking very, very messy. Notice as the loop goes through here that Cody's put on, you're seeing less and less red, more and more green. That means there's less and less rotation within the thunderstorm. So even though there still could be some pretty strong winds with it, I'm thinking the rotation is dying out and will likely continue to die out over the next, say, hour or so. We were worried about it pulsing just a little bit, and we have seen that happen with the hail cores. But right now it is continuing to weaken across the area. So it'll be crossing over the county line within the next couple of minutes, and it will be moving over into southern Smith County, northern Cherokee County with high winds, say 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts at least, and pocket change hail up to the size of quarters, more likely around dimes and nickels as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pitch it over to Gianni to start the 10 o'clock newscast, and we'll have an update in just a few more minutes.